All right. I hope everybody can hear me okay. I am joined today by the parrots right here. There's actually two. There's one. There is the other right there. Because I'm on spring break down here in Nashville for the week. So I hope everybody's doing all right and that everybody's had a good 2 weeks. And yeah, so got down here Saturday after driving from Valley Forge area, doing that I-81 run. Um, God, I don't think I will ever enjoy that highway. A lot of traffic, a lot of trucks, but it went smooth. I mean, could have been so much worse, but rained a little bit for about the first half, but by the time we got middle of Virginia, it cleared out and it was smooth sailing pretty much the rest of the way back. So I hope everybody's doing all right. I spent for tonight's beverage. Uh, we've got going on a slightly different tour here to Belgium. I've got the beer Darbeest. Darbeest. It's a saison. Not just a straight up saison though. It's a saison with fig juice, which actually does make a difference. It pours like any traditional saison would, very golden. But the grassy overtones that you find in a traditional saison are a little bit hidden because of the fig juice. It makes it much more mild, very drinkable. I am. This was a good pickup. So who do we got all here? We got Pretzel. Hey, how you doing, Pretzel? We got David. Thank you for being here tonight, David. I appreciate it. We got Eric. And how you doing, Eric? Hope you're doing well. Pretzel, your question: what would you say is the hardest Eastern high point? East Mississippi. And is it easier or harder than Humphreys? Um, most of those Eastern high points are pretty straightforward. So you're looking, I would put up there, I haven't done it, do it this year, so I'll be able to tell you. But I've always figured Maine or New York would be. Okay, let me preface this because this actually requires a caveat. All the ones in the East, with the exception of Maine, New York, and not North Carolina, Virginia, they can all be reached fairly easy. Um, Minimal walk, drive up. Who am I forgetting? Let's see. Let me think. If I'm forgetting any, I don't think I am. Those are the three that you have to actually put in some legwork to do it. Hey, traveling Ramen, thanks for being here. Um, I've been enjoying your videos abroad, so I'm glad you're here. So I would argue Katahdin, New York would probably be the two, unless you get a really bad day in Virginia. I mean, there's not a lot of elevation gained in Virginia, and the AT is an easy trail to hike in that part of the trail. But you have a bad day up there, and it becomes very subjective. But it got to be New York or Maine. Just like when the last convention and really great upon the hard seats was was Maine with and Marcy being second. So that'd be my votes. Um, Now, if you took out easy access to all of them, if you took out the easy access to all of them, I think um, you could find some different views um, for something like Klingman's Dome or North Carolina. If you actually had to hike the trails, then um, then I would almost Maine would still be up there, but you could make a pretty good contender for something like Mount Mitchell or Klingman's Dome. So But yeah, so that um, there you go. Stephen put in the comment, Mount Mitchell, we take the actual trail to the top. Yeah. So, uh, could you find any class 5 hikes in the entire eastern U.S., not just high points? I don't have I couldn't answer that question. Uh, I'd have to do some research. There's probably some pretty groovy, wild stuff out there, um, but I've never really focused on that. But I'm sure somebody in the brain trust here has, or we could do a little research and probably figure that out. I know if you moved out of the U.S. on the eastern side, if you moved up into those provincial high points, you're gonna find some challenging stuff in the shared high point for Quebec and Newfoundland. So there's that. But yeah, so here in Nashville for the week, and spent the day today hanging out with my nephew, who's currently stationed up in Fort Campbell with the 101st. So it was cool to catch up with him and got to take him. He's only been here for a couple months, fresh out of Fort Moore down in Georgia. So brand new 11B infantryman type, and got to show him some of my favorite sites back in the day when I used to live here. So it was cool to take him out to Fort Negley and take him over to the Parthenon and stuff like that. So that was a lot of it was a good day, a nice little day to go around Nashville. And it was when we were hiking around some of it, and we made it up to Shies Hill too. And this could quickly devolve into Sky talks about the Battle of Nashville for the remainder of this call, but we're not going to go down that route. But one of the things I was thinking that I used to do in Nashville a lot more, and I haven't really done in Philadelphia area, is local high points. Um, I don't know why. I just haven't really focused much on it to get out and do some of these. Hey, here's the highest point in the actual city of Philadelphia. Or here's the highest point in, say, on Valley Forge um, National Park or historical park. So it's something I think I might have to look into a little bit. Pick up some of those city high points, some of those um, local, sort of places, and check it out a bit. It also brought to mind that one of the big episodes I've always wanted to do that might actually get penciled in this year is the 5 boroughs of New York City. Um, I don't know if Archie Chesler's on, but I think Archie has. I know he's definitely bagged Long Island, and yes, that's not a borough. I'm aware of that, but he may have visited one or two of those as well. So, but I've always wanted to put together. In fact, I got a really robust outline on that, doing one of the most populous cities in the U.S. And New York is so uh, makes it easy with the 5 boroughs. So you don't really have to figure out how you're going to break it down. You already got, hey, the Queens, Bronx, you know, I call it the Queens. You got Queens, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Staten Island, Manhattan, so it's already sort of set. So let's see. Let's see. Ramen. I have never been to Nashville. It's on my list of places to visit this summer, though. Nashville's fun. It's it's a nice little city. If you go for the food scene, make sure you check out East Nashville for some pretty good eats and stuff. And you'll go to hit Broadway. I mean, it's a sort of a tourist trap, but still, you'll have some good live music down there. And but Nashville's a city that there is some more stuff here that's hidden, that's sort of a little off the beaten path. And let me know when you're going, Ron Man, and I'll give you my list of places to check out while you're in Nashville. After we lived here for, what was it? moved here in 2014, and then I lived here for 6 years. So I learned a few things. Um, I will say this: the Davidson County High Point is not easily accessible, but the Nashville City High Point actually is. So you could check that off your list if you're looking for a high point. So, um, and believe it or not, that Nashville City High Point is a little off the beaten path, and you'll get a spectacular view of the skyline. So, let's see. Closest I've got to doing local county high points is St. Louis County. I make that up. At some point, I wondered if any Six Flags are located on their county high point. I'm not sure. Good question. But yeah, so it was cool to hang out with my nephew, and I got a little bit of envy. Not much. I mean, my service days are a long time in the past, but they're he'll be deploying over to Europe pretty soon for a couple months, and I am a little envious, but not. All I needed is a couple, stories of stupid army things, and it's like, oh no, 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 I made a good choice years ago. So, but big news. In 3 days, Wednesday, we were originally going to go Tuesday, but the weather, I actually haven't checked since yesterday, but Alabama is on the docket to refilm. Script has all been updated, so I will be going down to Chiao Mountain and refilming that on Wednesday. Wednesday. So on the 27th, Colin and I are going down. We're going to, there'll be a couple new locations in the episode. There's definitely new content, and I'm really looking forward to a visit to Chiao Mountain. That's a whole lot more similar to when I was first there. God, 2014 something. So almost 10 years ago. And seeing, just going down to the Alabama mountains, the Talladega Mountains, Talladega Mountains. It's funny, all three are correct pronunciations of various locations in Alabama. So it's always interesting. So hey, terrible ideas. Thanks for being here. Glad you're here. But yeah, so that's the big ticket things that I've been thinking about lately is one, starting to do some more of that local high point stuff. Finding that, I think actually, was it Forest Hill? I've looked at the Philly one before, and I just haven't committed to doing it yet. So it'll be worth checking out. And if it's, got something to it, maybe a nice little short episode of maybe 15 minutes would be worth doing to bring it home if I ever need like immediate content. I want to say on Valley Forge Military Historical Park, right north of me. I want to say I've been on the top of Mount Joy, and Mount Misery. The summit of Mount Misery is actually not in the park, so that doesn't necessarily count. Have you completed any states county high points? Like all of them? No. My county high pointing is very, very sparse. I think I've had more tri points than I do, um, I'd say than county high points, but dedicated county high points, because every state high point is a county high point. But I think it's safe to say, like, when I've gone exclusively looking for county high points, I've bagged more tri points than county high points. If you're looking at it from that lane. At Chiao Mountain, a ranger told me the high point was a stone at the entrance of the tower with a cross etched in it, not the boulder behind the tower, because it's not considered to be bedrock. That's an interesting point, because I've always been told and under the impression. In fact, I even remember filming it the first time, going to those stones behind. Um, so if those stones were moved there, well, yeah, it would make sense because then it's not really natural. Um, if it's one of those cases where the I know the benchmark is right in the walkway as you go to Bunker Tower, and um, it's so that's an interesting point, Eric. I'll have to get smart on that before we go, or actually when I get up there to the tower, do a little bit of looking. Um, that's interesting. And the reason I keep thinking like it's interesting is because I think of Mount Davis, and you have the big freaking boulder, right? So you got the observation tower, the metal observation tower, and then right behind it, a couple meters, is the boulder with the benchmark at the top of it, designating it as the Pennsylvania County High, or not Pennsylvania County, the Pennsylvania State High Point. And so that to me is really the stone is in the middle of the tower on the floor. Various miss. Man, thank you for the lead. Thank you very much for the lead. I will. I will. You know what? I'll shoot it both ways. Um, doesn't hurt. You can always have. You can always use the footage if it turns out not to be the case. It's funny because um, I remember filming that episode. Part of the reason I remember filming is the day was not a. It wasn't a pleasant film day, and the lady in the museum said it was the stuff out back. So, um, that's interesting. Hmm. Good points. It took me over an hour to find the benchmark on Black Elk Peak in South Dakota. Uh, it's on the back side of the tower, the highest point. I thought it. I thought the actual high point on Black Elk Peak, and it's why if you ever watch that episode, I'm sitting in this weird position because I'm literally sitting. There's a part behind the tower that's substantially higher than the surrounding area, and that's the actual high point. At least that's once again um, the knowledge I had gained via talking to other high pointers. So I'll just chalk it up once again. Another South Dakota's got to get refilmed at some point. So lessons learned here. So sometimes I know our some of the county high pointers and some of the peak baggers are more precise. But there are times when I get there, I'm like, we're here. We are present in this immediate area. We might not be at the very tip top, but for all intents and purposes, we made it to the top. I mean, you can spend hours probably walking around um, the Delaware Ebright Asmith one and still not be on the precise high point. Depends how they mowed the grass that day. So, but yeah, I definitely, if I remember correctly, you got the tower and it's sort of tucked. I can't even describe it because it's been, well, it's almost 6 years since I filmed that. So I think I took a picture of it. I might have to dig that out for the Black Elk Peak. It was a cool place. Black Elk Tower is actually in the place where I was thinking, I'm like, if you ever had to hole out from a zombie attack, if you could make it to the Black Elk Tower, maybe you'd have a better chance of survivability from the zombie apocalypse up there because it still has the reservoir to collect water. So let's see what we got here. Got Got Eric talking about Bunker Tower, so that's good. Thanks for that feedback. Terrible ideas. I did Norfolk County High Point in Massachusetts recently. I think I'll do all of them eventually if can be bothered. Cool. I look forward to hearing more about it. And then we got, how many counties does Rhode Island have? Does Rhode Island have counties? Or are they like their colleagues to the west and counties in name only, and it's the towns that are more important? I do know if the Rhode Island piece I always sort of wanted to go, the place I wanted to go in Rhode Island that I did not have the time, but I thought would have been cool is Block Island. Um, I think for me, the high pointing adventure for Rhode Island is, um, of course, Jerimath Hill, and then Beacon Hill, Beacon Signal. It's over in it's the prominent peak in the upper northeast corner. And then Aquidneck Island. Which is the original / Rhode Island. It's the biggest island in Rhode Island, that high point, and then Block Island, which is a bit out. And there you go. You have a really solid Rhode Island high pointing adventure. Let's see. Yeah, Black Elk Peak is an awesome high point. I love that area. It is still one of my all-time favorite hikes. It's right up there with Guadalupe Peak, just because when we did it, the way it looked when we got above cloud line, and you could just see the little spots of trees and rocks popping up, see the needles or see just and the clouds were lowered down, and it was otherworldly. It was so cool. I have fond memories of that place. The other thing that always made it fun was I was hiking it and filming it with my friend Davey at the time, and I had just played a video game called Firewatch, maybe about a month before, and I'd finished it. And the whole time I was hiking through the Black Hills, all I could think of is like, man, this looks just like Firewatch. Which was a fun game, by the way. I really enjoyed Firewatch, and I would recommend it to others. But yeah, that just kept reminding me of that over and over. Like, yeah, this looks just like Firewatch. So I really want to get back out there. I love that area. My other big news, I just realized, because I know the convention's out there this year, but I'm not going to the convention because I got a date, and not a date with Destiny, but a date with Mount Whitney. I got lottery. I got lucky in the lottery. So my date is July 30th. It's not an overnight, unfortunately. It's a day pass. Nobody else in the group got selected, but I got my date. So we're going July 30th. We're going to do it all in one shot. So the goal is fly out Sunday, start filming Sunday, Monday. I think the 30th is on a Tuesday. Do the hike, then film more. Like, do the hike, film everything we can for the hike itself, but film the episode and the days around it. So it's going to be, training's already started. I don't think I've put together a 20 plus mile day yeah, I don't think I put a day like that together since Ironman. So it's gonna be something. There's been a couple come close days, but nothing quite of that length. So I am really looking forward to it. And as we get closer, I'll be asking for tips and hints and advice for Whitney. Things of folks that have been up there. What you would have did differently or stuff like that. All in consideration that it is going to be um, early morning and an all-day affair. So that is my other big set of news. So I want to do Maine's Island High Points. That would be really cool. Um, Surprisingly, the place in Maine, I really look forward to doing Katahdin, but the place in Maine that has always captured my imagination ever since I was a kid is Acadia National Park. I want to get to the top of Cadillac Mountain, and I don't know what it is about that park in particular, but I've just think it's one of the most beautiful things. I just remember, when I first saw pictures of it, I must have been 8 or 9 years old. I was just riveted with that place. So um, it was, I'm going to stop there regardless. When I do Maine, I'm still going to make a stop down at Acadia National Park because why not? Um, Good. Thank you, Pretzel. That is a good bit of advice. I shall. Um, Come to New Hampshire. Let's do Prezi Traverse as a training. I may end up taking you up on that. We'll see. I'm going to be using New York, Mount Marcy, definitely as a training hike for Whitney. Um, it's going to serve sort of as my shakedown for film hike. Once again, getting back in the rhythm of doing, what I can shoot on the trail at distance and, figure that out. One of the pluses, if you look at it in this way, is I don't have to worry about the drone at Whitney because it's a wilderness and that won't fly. So, um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to just getting worked up. I think in some ways, you know, doing Whitney this year puts me in a really good position to to continue to prep and get mentally in the headspace for Hood and Rainier in particular, trying to do both of those next year. Um, Trying to pick up Idaho this year too. So originally the plan was to do Whitney. Ideally, if we would have had it done the way we wanted to do, we would have done Whitney. All our dates were basically, mid August to mid September, and do Idaho at the tail end of July or August, and I that week in July I put down there was sort of like, oh, I got one more slot. Oh, let's just do that, and that's the one I got. So hey, yay! But I really think it sort of upended things. So like I said, victory for me this year. I wanted 4, but if I can get 3, I'll take a baseball player's mentality, and 3 out of 4 ain't bad. Meatloaf would tell you 2 out of 3 wasn't bad, but So let's see. Congratulations, thanks. Oh, Wonderland Trail. That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. Congratulations, Stephen. And let's say, I love a K just based on my brief in January. Awesome. Wonders what county high point is the lowest? Good question. Wouldn't surprise me if it was something like something on the coast, or well, what's the county high point's lowest is wherever Badwater Basin is. So that would be your lowest county high point. And terrible ideas. So they just put it in there. Oh, Wonder County High Point is low. Sorry, I read that wrong. I thought you were talking about what county has the lowest low point. Okay. I'm sure that would be worth looking up. I'm sure you can find it on the county high pointing site. But if I was going to put money on it, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if it was something like one of the places out in Florida, I saw somebody put that in there. Um, I sort of want to look that up. It might be nice. That's awesome. Did you do Whitney first and then run to Badwater Basin? That would be some nice elevation shift there. You're going the other way. It's almost like a love letter to how sick can I get? So no, what else is coming down? I was hoping to have an episode finished by next week on March 31st, and there might still be something coming out. Um, but what that something is up in the air. It could be a short, because I found out I can fly the drone pretty freely in Alabama, and even better is filed my flight plan, because Oxford, the town right to the north of the mountain, is one of the few places that has restriction. But I filed my flight plan and with the sheriff's department, and I got approval. So that was a thumbs up too. So there might be, because I will be flush with drone footage, you might end up getting the five fast facts for Alabama's High Point um, on March 31st, because it's quick and easy to do. And I did not bring my recording mic down here, so I'm sort of hosed myself on that aspect to record voiceover. But um, still need telescope. I'd love to do Badwater telescope in a day. That'd be a cool hike. Still, that would be a lot of gain. A lot of gain. Between now and your next I'll do a little research too, see what I can find, because I'm curious. I am a bit curious now to see what it is. I'd be interested. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if it was the Keys or South Padre Island or something of that nature. But I'm merely speculating. I mean, it could be something anywhere along the Gulf Coast. So it'll be interesting to find that out. I think one of the things might be intriguing is if it would be something in Bayou country in Louisiana. I think that could be a good potential contender. So if I was going to look for that particular thing, finding out which one's the immediate lowest, I would probably look. My first points of interest would be anything on the Gulf Coast, and then start working my way up the Atlantic. What makes the Atlantic interesting, though, is you have that fall line. So you do get that elevation. But Louisiana, for some reason, seems like that could be a place out in the Delta area. So, yeah. What else is going down? Well, I mean, that's it. I mean, got the lottery. That was awesome. Now, I also would really, really I feel like my luck is flush right now, so I will be buying my lottery ticket for both the Mega Millions and Powerball, because, hey, that's a fun game to play all of a sudden, maybe if that broke my way, well, Rooftops of America would be taking on a whole new, the production value would go up. It's one of my favorite games to play, like when we're doing long road trips, is, what would you do if you won the lottery? And for me, man, Rooftops of the World just became a real thing. So there would be a lot more content becoming a lot more frequently because I would not have to do all the other stuff. But yeah, I hope you guys have had a great 2 weeks. I hope everything's going well for you. It's hard to believe we're almost out of March and April's right around the corner, and that feels like high pointing season is like here again. Now's the time to start making those plans. And, I'm looking forward to getting to Alabama. It'll be my third time. But it more so than that, it just feels like this is the year to get out and start, once again, hitting those points and, you know, getting that journey continuing. And I think it's awesome to just get out there. And even these revisits, every time I go back, there's always something new that I find or, I didn't notice before. And I just think it's such a rewarding thing. And it makes me happy that I can share those experiences with you guys and that you actually you know, enjoy that. So um let's see. I plan on 4 new ones this year and one revisit. That's awesome. What for are you looking for, Ron man? I'd be curious to know. Like mine, I'm down to my new ones are gonna be California, New York, Maine, for sure. And the revisits, well, Alabama I've talked about, but I'm really thinking Kentucky's on the docket for a fair shake, a revisit for sure. So Maine, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan. When are you going to Wisconsin? I'd be genuinely curious. Because I've mentioned before, my folks live only 30 minutes from Tim's Hill, and I got to get up there at some point to visit. And I always make it a point to visit Tim's Hill every time I go home. It's one of my favorites. All right, let's stay in touch on when you'd go in September. If you're going in September, maybe we can meet up. That'd be cool. So in September in Wisconsin is awesome. Um, it is. I know people love the leaf season up in New England and that, but you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't enjoy the leaf season in Great Lakes country, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Upper Peninsula. It's pretty ridiculously awesome. So, but on that bombshell, I'm gonna get back to spring breaking and enjoying this tasty saison. And thank you everybody for being here tonight. Thanks for the parrots for being over my shoulder the whole time. And I will see you guys in April. Isn't that wild? It's wild to me. It's just time's moving so quick. So, once again, see y'all soon. Thanks for being here.